going on, Jerome's? Happy Labor Day. Hopefully you're enjoying the long holiday weekend. Now, when I was a kid, I used to think that Labor Day was about like moms having babies, which apparently it's not. I used to think like when I was like 4, I thought that all kids were born on Labor Day. That just makes sense, right? I mean, there's not really much to do in the dead of winter, or someone had a good time on Christmas. It's close, right? 9 months. Doesn't matter. Something that does matter is what the Vikings are going to do at quarterback in 2024 and beyond. So 2 years ago, the Vikings signed a 1-year extension with Kirk Cousins, Cousins, Band-Aid year, so he didn't go into last season as a lame duck. But this year, he is going into the final season of his contract as a lame duck, as the Vikings and Kirk didn't come to an agreement either on a long-term extension, which was what Kirk wanted, or a 1-year Band-Aid deal, which was the Vikings' plan. But they made it work, and they freed up some cap space, and they got that beautiful $28.5 million void dead cap charge in 2024 to look forward to. But with Kevin O'Connell and adofo-mensah, there's obviously a plan, right? And Kirk Cousins just turned 35. He's great in the short term and maybe great in the next couple of years. I think that Kirk, the way that he does take care of himself, the way that he's operated, I think that he could be an asset for the Vikings for the next couple of seasons. But it's clear that it's a balance, right? As Kwesi is churning this roster over, if the Vikings have parted ways with Kirk, whether a trade or a cut or a non-extension 2 off seasons ago, it would have been like, okay, so we're completely tearing this thing down and rebuilding, right? But Kirk Cousins this year does give them the best chance to do something. Same thing last year, and obviously that's what they want to do. It's the balance in the competitive rebuild, where you still want to have a successful team, you still want to put butts in the seats, you still want to give hope to the fans, and it really is a balancing act. But with Kirk's contract, so if the Vikings re-sign him, those void year cap hits don't come due, but they still are prorated out. But if he's not on the roster, they do come home all in one season. And looking at the Vikings' future cap space, so 14-1 this year after the Hockenson extension, in 2024, $47.56 million. Now that does include the rather large dead cap hits of Kirk Cousins at $28.5, Danielle Hunter at $14.9 if he's not on the roster, as well as Marcus Davenport at $6.8 again if he is not on the roster. But looking at the way that quarterback salaries are skyrocketing, and you're seeing guys like Daniel Jones get $40 million per year, which no. Well, if Daniel Jones is worth 40, Kirk is at least worth 45. And Kirk right now is the 14th highest paid quarterback in the league. And for all of the Vikings fans who want to piss and moan about Kirk Cousins, Kirk is actually underpaid right now. And that's a really inconvenient truth, but it is the legitimate truth. But the way that quarterback contracts have gone, Kirk does deserve a raise if the Vikings do extend him past this season. And the Vikings could have some cap issues coming up, even though cap is a month, with Justin Jefferson due for that mega extension, which could potentially even get done this week. Darisaw is going to be eligible for an extension next offseason after he's got 3 years in. What happens with Danielle? What happens with Davenport? What happens with XYZ? And if you extend Kirk, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money plopping in on the books in 2024, even though there's a ton of relief coming in 2025, pending some of those long-term extensions. But, Kirk, I mean, if Kirk does get his market rate of like $45 million, maybe he could finally afford 2 chicks at the same time, man. Nah, that's not what Kirk's about, but it's a great movie, though. Anyways, but watching college football this weekend, and you saw what is likely going to be a 1-2 at the top of the draft. Caleb Williams, USC, Drake May of North Carolina, come on, raise up. They won the Mayo Bowl. Awesome. As well as guys like Shedeur Sanders of Colorado, who super interesting, man. Like, I understand it's a very collegiate offense, but he throws with anticipation. He's got a strong arm. He's got some mobility. I kind of like him. I kind of like him. Of course, the Vikings have Jaron Hall in-house. But either way, it's pretty clear that Kevin O'Connell and Kwesi, they set up the Vikings to be able to function ideally with a starting quarterback on his rookie deal. And right now, that is the greatest competitive advantage in all of team sports. You look at the way the Chiefs were able to load up. You look at the way that Buffalo was able to load up. Same thing with the Chargers for a while, Joey Burrow, before he got paid as well. It is a huge competitive advantage to have a star quarterback on his rookie deal, and you can pay everyone else and build around him before that tab comes due, and then you're paying your quarterback 45 million plus per season. Because if you look around the Vikings, so you got Jefferson, who's 24. Yes, he's only inked through 2024, but he's going to be signed long term. Addison is 21 with his fifth year option. He's through 2027. Darisaw right now through 2025 with that fifth year option, but he'll be longer. Hawkinson just signed his fresh deal. He's 26 years young. He's through 2027. O'Neal's still only 27. He signed through 2026. So offensively, it's a quarterback's dream. So you have your two stud receivers on the outside, including the best wide receiver in the game. You have an amazing tight end who's top 3, and he's not 3. And you have two bookend tackles, including Darisaw, who could become one of the best young left tackles in the game. That is tailor-made for a young quarterback to succeed, especially when you're working with a guy like Kevin O'Connell. And looking at the draft prospects, I mean, this could be a very interesting quarterback draft because you remember like 2 years ago when it was like Malik Willis and Desmond Ridder and Matt Corral and Sam Howell, right? And like no quarterback went to the third round. This is going to be the inverse of that. Like, could you see like 6 or 7 quarterbacks in the first round, maybe 8 or 9 in the top 100 picks? I think it certainly is possible, man. And also, I mean, guys are rising and falling and growing and showing, and it's really crazy what's been going on out there. And Caleb Williams has been dubbed the next Patrick Mahomes already. Drake May got a lot of Justin Herbert in his game. Michael Penix Jr. Loved him when he was at Indiana. Going to Washington, he's dubbed to have a lot of Tua in his game. Shedeur Sanders completely could turn this draft on its head. Quinn Ewers, a little bit of Bert Favre. Let's go. Jordan Travis just led a big time win over LSU. So this quarterback draft is going to be interesting, and also, obviously the Vikings are going to be successful this year, obviously. And even though they're drafting late in the round, 32, they still could find their quarterback of the future, whether in the teens or in the 20s, and they could move up, maybe not even all the way up to 1. I mean, all the rumors are, the Vikings were in a Bryce Young at 1. Well, obviously, but potentially, I mean, even late in the round, the Vikings could make a move up. And just looking at some of the notable quarterback draft trade-ups in recent years, I mean, there's a lot of ground to cover. We didn't include like trade-ups of like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spots. We're talking about like at least 8 or 9 spots. So Bryce Young, Carolina, jumping from 9 to 1 this year. Trey Lance in 2021, that worked out. Going from 12 to 3. The Niners were hoping to go from 6 to midnight, going from 12 to 3, but 3 ones and a third. That turned into Tyreek and Bradley Chubb and Jalen Waddle. No big deal. Fields, the Bears went from 20 to 11. Mahomes is the major one. Chiefs went from 27. Just had a great year with Alex Smith under center, all the way up to 10 to get the pride of Texas Tech, Wreckham. And it cost them 2 ones and a third, right? And would Kwesi be willing to pay that? I think that he certainly would, like to potentially have your quarterback of the future. Deshaun Watson, Texans go from 25 to 12. Jared Goff, you forget that the Rams didn't have the number 1 pick that year. They went from 15 to 1. It cost them 2 firsts, a second, and 2 thirds. And also, the Rams haven't had their first round picks since 2016 because Jared Goff just ruined first round picks for them. Lesney just like F those picks. And then also a couple of trade ups from the second round. So Tebow, the Broncos, Josh McDaniels going from 43-25 cost them a 2-3-4. And then for jumping JP Lossman coming out of Tulane, man. 2004, Buffalo traded up with Dallas. Talk about Dallas. Going from 43 to 22, cost him a 2-4-5 in a future first. I mean, those are all realistic and all within the realm of possibility. Oh, my favorite one is Jeff George. So Indianapolis didn't even trade their first-round pick that year. They traded all-pro guard Chris Hinton. They traded Andre Badmoon Rison, a fifth-round pick, and a future first. So not even the first-round pick that year, and then they ended up with number 1. It's crazy, man. It's absolutely insane. But the Vikings could and should move up and get their quarterback of the future. And Like I said, this quarterback draft could be really, really damn interesting. So that's something to keep a watch on, the rest of the season, because it does kind of feel like it is the last dance with Kirk Cousins, and then the Vikings. Whether it's Jaren Hall, whether it's rookie quarterback TBD. Obviously, Jaren Hall is just a 5th-round pick, but he's the guy that Kevin O'Connell and Kwesi Adofo-Mensah hand-picked, and they had the opportunity to trade for another quarterback. They could have traded for Trey Lance, and Kwesi and Kevin O'Connell declined because they believe in Jaren Hall. Could he develop into that guy? It's possible. It's possible. So rookie TBD or Jaren Hall, but I think that the way that the Vikings salary cap is set up, it makes sense to move on from Kirk this offseason. Even if Kirk has a good year this year, it does kind of suck. And the maneuver to find your quarterback of the future, maybe bring in a veteran bridge quarterback, Teddy Bridgewater. Got him. It would be great. And all that stuff. But it's interesting. Like, no matter what level of success the Vikings have this year, like absent winning a Super Bowl, is Kirk Cousins just done this year? And then Kwesi Adofo-Mensah and Kevin O'Connell, they turn the page either with Jaren Hall or their quarterback of the future. They make a move up to go get him. It's possible. It's possible. But that's the storyline to watch throughout this season. But your thoughts are thoughts. The Vikings are built to have a quarterback on the rookie deal. Oh, there's 2 pretty good ones. Oh, there's 2 other good ones. There you go. Let us know your thoughts and our thoughts in the comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. Want to support the work? Put a little something in the Venmo. But till next time, Skol, production value.